guys, the next section of my classroom is our rules wall. There's 5 plus 1 rule in a whole grade teaching class, and just like everything else, it has words, pictures, and gestures to go along with them. So I'll go over each one. Rule number 1, follow directions quickly. Rule number 2, raise your hand for permission to speak. Rule number 3, raise your hand for permission to leave your seat. I'm okay. Rule number 4, make smart choices. Rule number 5, keep your dear teacher happy. And the diamond rule, eyes on the target. So we go over these very early, very often, drill them down so the students know that these are going to be the rules for the whole entire school year, and they are expected to be followed. You can put a daily focus on your super improver wall or on your scoreboard for any of these rules. For example, if we're focusing on rule number 2, raise your hand for permission to speak, and they're not doing so well, you better believe they're going to get some frownies on that scoreboard. Now in my class, the most important rule is rule number 1. If we have an earthquake drill, if we have an actual emergency, if we have a fire drill, we need to have those students following directions quickly so that we can all get out of here safe and sound. We have practice cards in my room, so anytime a student is struggling with a certain rule, I'll just come by here and drop a practice card in their pocket chart. This reminds me that they need some practice on that. We can do that practice at recess, we can do it during their lunch period, or we can send it home and they can practice with their parents. But this is just a quick reminder, I don't have to stop instruction. We keep it moving, but they know they need to work on something as well. Rule number 5, keep your dear teacher happy. It ruffles some feathers sometimes, especially with admin, I get it. But it's the catch-all. If you have one of those darling fidget spinners in your classroom, and they think that they're making smart choices with that fidget spinner, they think they can keep their eyes on the target, they're not messing up rule number 3 or number 2, they're following directions quickly, you can always catch them with rule number 5. I understand you're still following the rules, but you're not following rule 5. You're not making me happy. You're not keeping me happy with that fidget spinner out in class.
I have here also the whole brain teaching bridges. Glorious, kindness, leadership, courage, and creativity. With the integration of character education in class lessons, the learners develop the different giving competencies with moral.
This part of my room is the scoreboard, one of whole brain teaching's most effective strategies. It's a wonderful way to get your whole class motivated. On one side of the scoreboard, we have the frownies, and on the other, we have the smileys. These 2 parts of the scoreboard indicate the behaviors that you might be seeing throughout the day. Whenever you want to change behaviors or make note of things that might not be making you happy, you would put a tally mark on the frowny side, and the kids, after the tally mark, would make the mighty groan. Ugh. And then on the smiley side, if you want to praise them for the hard work that they are doing and the rule following that they are achieving and just the wonderful kids that they are, tally mark goes and they get to have a 1-second party with a mighty oh yeah. Oh yeah! And the scoreboard is so cool because it's their own virtual video game. I will have displayed throughout the year the level in which they are on. And depending on how well they go throughout the day, they might end up with more smileys than they do frownies, which gives them a whole class point. 10 total points of smileys gets you bumped up to the next level. But another thing that keeps them on edge is displaying under the frownies 1st grade and under the smileys 5th grade. And as my 3rd graders ponder on how I do my tally marks, they interpret their behavior as being 2 grades above where they are right now, or 2 grades below. And if I want to highlight some type of thing that I want the students to work on and really get their scoreboard going throughout the day, I'm going to write that strategy in my awesome light thought bubble. With a flick of the light on, off, the students are going to know really what I'm going to be pinpointing on the scoreboard that day. And there will be times when you are not in the front of your room near the scoreboard and you want to make tally marks on either side. What I do is I keep a traveling scoreboard with me. I'd be able to mark on the frownies or the smiley side depending on how the class is going in my small group or their independent work. Guys, the scoreboard is so awesome as a whole class reward system. The leveling up keeps them on their toes. There's no more buying little trinkets for rewards and candies. This stuff is free.
So welcome to my favorite part of the classroom, my stage. This is where I give direct instruction, and this is where the kids stand up and they teach the class. They really enjoy it. So these arrows, what are they? Well, it's my really huge point sign. When I have something really important to say, I put this up and the kids know that I have a really huge point, so they're focused on me.
My absolute favorite part of this room is this beauty over here, my Super Improvers wall. This floor-to-ceiling monument is not a testament to a child's ability, but rather their improvement, academic, and behavioral throughout the year. I have 2 classes, so I have a poster for my homeroom, and they also have a poster for my partner's homeroom. My students travel up the levels, starting with a beginner, and then 10 levels up is my living legend. To keep this a little bit organized for myself, I have all the cards pre-made in this index card box. I also have a star stamp ready to go, and then I have a Sharpie. So on my card, I have 10 little squares, and when a student shows improvement, academic or behavioral, they earn themselves a star. When they fill up this star card, the next level, which is my learner level, the green card, is right here, ready to go. They write their name on it and then thumbtack it to my wall. On the left side of my Super Improvers wall, I have our 2 goals, class goals. So my first class goal is academic. It's multiplication fact mastery. My second goal is behavioral, and I want a better class, yes. My students need to improve with super glued hands, laser eyes. They need to stop what they're doing, and they need to give a great call back to my class. At the top of my Super Improvers wall is my space for my living legends. I also have additional space over here if I need it.
So this is my Power Pick wall, and the Power Picks are gestures, built-in gestures by Whole Brain Teaching to help us with that mirror word part, or with the direct instruction part, so that we have gestures already pre-made for some of the concepts that we're going to cover in our curriculum. So for math, on Monday I will be teaching about expanded form. So I already have this one up so I can work with them on that as we get into our math cycle in the afternoon. And then over here in the blue border are all of the ELA Power Picks that we're going to be using. The one in particular that we're going to be talking about first is the one about our paragraph being a single topic. I love the Power Picks because they have the question right there. I already have my question to ask the students. I have the answer already written down, which is fantastic, so it's already prepared. Got the gesture right there, and then finally, the gesture is explained at the bottom. And finally, I can just put it up there, and then as my students are working, and for a quick review, I can call on a student and say, please lead us in our review of A1. And they're going to lead us in a review of paragraph being one topic.
First, I'm going to start with the Brainies. I'm looking forward to incorporating all of these gestures. These are the ones we've gone over so far. So they're practicing their capital letters, they're practicing their end marks and their commas, etc. all the way throughout, and then adding more Brainies throughout the year for them to practice in their competitions, along with it in writing whenever they're giving verbal answers. Since we're focusing so much on Brainies, in the Students To Do folders, they have this pocket right here where we keep their Brainy card for them to refer back to before they do competitions, or whenever they're doing their writing to incorporate more of those Brainies. Or before we start reading a passage, they'll scan through what we're about to read for that day and underline such things such as, for example, or also, that way they can remember to use that Brainy in class whenever we are reading together.